This video is brought to you by ZestMoney. Visit zestmoney.in and avail instant loans to buy your favorite smartphone. It's an entirely digital process with high approval rates, seamless EMI payments, and even zero pre-closure charges. But the best part of all is the 0% interest on most merchants, and you don't even need a credit card or a credit score either. Vivo was primarily known for their selfie-centric smartphones, and there was, and still is, a huge demand for that. But it wasn't until more recently with the likes of the Vivo Nex that they took photography more seriously with the main camera itself. The V15 Pro, as we saw in our travelogue, is once a smartphone. But just how good are its cameras? Let's find out in this camera review. This is Sandeep from RevAtlas. Let's get started. The V15 Pro packs a triple camera setup at the back. It includes a 48 million quad pixel camera that has 1.8 aperture and a secondary 8 megapixel super wide camera with f2.2 aperture, and lastly a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Vivo isn't disclosing the sensor which is used, but the smartphone captures in 12 megapixel by default with pixel binning, thus giving a resulting pixel size of 1.6 micron compared to a default 0.8 micron pixel size. You can also capture in 48 megapixel resolution if you choose to do so. The phone supports Camera 2 API as well, so you can install a Google Camera or GCam port and get even better results. We'll talk about it in depth later on in the review. In terms of image quality, the V15 Pro produces a very pleasing looking image. The white balance is spot on and the colors are nice, albeit a bit more saturated than normal. There's plenty of details and sharpness, and Vivo has laid back a bit on the noise suppression since too much of it will drown out the details, but still noise is kept in check. The super wide angle camera captures a more impressive field of view which can give some very dramatic results if used well. However, there's a drop in terms of sharpness and dynamic range, but that's expected from a secondary wide-angle camera. Coming to portrait mode, there's good edge detection and excellent spatial separation between the subject and the background. It even works fairly well from a distance and also gets minute portions such as the portion between Amrit's hand and neck blurred, which in some phones would have been totally missed out. It also works surprisingly well in low light conditions, and this particular shot impressed me a lot. In terms of low light, performance is again very good. The colors are good, there's good sharpness and detail, but dynamic range is a bit low, especially due to the subdued shadows. But this can quickly be solved using the night mode. Night mode helps to bring out information from the shadows which would have otherwise been too dark. Night mode is extremely fast as well, and it doesn't take much longer than a regular shot. But it is worth noting that it isn't as advanced as say Night Sight or Huawei Night Mode. Still pretty impressive I feel, especially considering that the fast shutter speed is applicable here. The camera up front has 32 megapixels of resolution, a world's first. That's basically a Samsung GD1 sensor with f2 aperture and is hidden. It pops up automatically when needed for face unlock or for selfies. There's plenty of detail and the colors are good. The photos are also good in terms of low light, and the dynamic range is the only slight thing that could have been better, but there's a workaround which we shall talk about soon. The portrait mode is pretty good as well, and the edge detection is also fairly good except when there's a lot of intricate patterns in the background, in which cases it does miss out some of the portions. It also works well indoors or when there's more than one person in the frame, as you can see from this example. There are also several different portrait lighting modes to choose from, but we like the monochrome background one the best. Now coming to possibly the bit that most are interested in. The V15 Pro does support Camera 2 API out of the box, so it also works well with GCam or Google Camera ports. We've had to test several builds in order to finally find the version that worked best with the V15 Pro, and the results are very impressive. You get better sharpness and detail, as well as improved dynamic range and better colors. Here are some samples to showcase the difference. The front-facing camera too benefits from better sharpness and detail and dynamic range, but the best thing is the portrait mode. The results are really impressive with Google Camera portrait mode, and one thing to keep in mind though is that the photos are limited to 9.6 megapixels in terms of regular shots and 8 megapixels in terms of portrait shots. Also, it has a tendency currently to overdo the red colors, which I think should be fixed with a future version of the mod. There's EIS on board this time around in terms of video recording out of the box itself, and is supported up to 1080p at 30 fps. The phone also gets 4K at 30 fps and 1080p at 60 fps capture without EIS, but we'd suggest using the 1080p with EIS since there's still plenty of information, and hopefully they'll release an update soon with EIS for 4K since the chipset should support it. The front-facing camera records good footage as well, albeit without EIS. This is the front-facing camera on the Vivo V15 Pro capturing 1080p video. Let me know what you guys think about the overall sharpness, the dynamic range, and how well it's picking my voice. And lastly, the camera also has a slow motion mode where it records 120fps videos at 720p. Overall, the Vivo V15 Pro is a solid performer in terms of photography, both with the front and rear camera in good light and low light. It gets even better if you use a GCam mod, and that truly can make use of the sensor's capabilities. It just shows that Vivo is taking cameras very seriously, and hopefully this is only the start of many good things to come. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you visit zestmoney.in and avail instant loans to purchase your dream products, be it a smartphone, electronics, furniture, and more across Flipkart, Amazon, and more than 100 other partners.